Question 15. What is the meaning of satisfaction and dissatisfaction of Allah? And what is the main recompense? Allah says in the Quran, أَفَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ رِضْوَانَ اللَّهِ كَمَنْ بَاءَ بِسَخَطٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَمَأْوَاهُ جَهَنَّمُ وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ. Is one who pursues the pleasure of Allah like one who incurs the wrath of Allah and whose refuge is hell? How wretched is the destination. Surah Ali Imran verse 162. This verse contains two things, Ridwan, which is satisfaction, and Sakhat, dissatisfaction, also known as Ghadab, wrath. This verse explains that there are people who receive the satisfaction of Allah and there are those who incur the dissatisfaction, wrath of Allah. Islam states that ultimately those who receive the pleasure of Allah will enter heaven, while those who incur sakhat or ghadab, the wrath of Allah, will enter hell. The person who receives the satisfaction of Allah receives Allah's mercy, and Allah also helps them in this world, bestows blessings upon their affairs, guides and protects them. And after death they will enter heaven. When a person receives the satisfaction of Allah, they will enter heaven where they will see Allah and live with the prophets and the righteous. There they will not experience sadness, grief or distress. And Allah says in the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَءُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. And among people is he who would sell himself seeking the pleasure of Allah, and Allah is full of kindness to his servants. Surah Al-Baqarah verse 207. The meaning of this verse is that a Muslim who submits himself is a person who seeks the pleasure of Allah. Indeed, the one who receives Allah's satisfaction and love is the one who sells himself for the sake of Allah's pleasure. This means that a true Muslim is one who firmly believes that Allah's pleasure is above all and more important than anything else, and they are willing to give up everything to attain Allah's pleasure. And there is nothing more important than that. Not nationality, not any country, not traditions, wealth, nothing. It's important to know that there are different categories of people who study Islam and act accordingly. There are people who do it only because their parents were Muslims and it's their tradition. In reality, they may not be true Muslims. Some people do it to gain worldly benefits. For example, they fast to lose weight, perform Hajj to gain respect, attend Friday prayers to avoid being considered as misguided. It is very important for a person to understand what Deen is, why it came, and what a person will gain if they act accordingly. In short, Deen is the revelation. It is what came from the heavens. And by studying Deen and acting according to it, a person will attain Allah's satisfaction. These are two things that people do not understand. They think that Deen is everything that brings happiness and peace to a person. When a person does good deeds, Allah gives them recompense, thawab, and ajr, reward. And when a person commits a sin, Allah gives them adhab, punishment. Thawab and ajr, recompense and reward. Allah gives to a person for good deeds. When a person studies Islam and acts accordingly, then as a recompense and reward, Allah gives His satisfaction. This is the true ajr and thawab. The most important thing for a person is Allah's satisfaction, because if a person receives Allah's pleasure, they will succeed and fulfill the purpose of their life. If a person does not receive Allah's satisfaction, they have lost, even if they were rich and influential. A Muslim studies Islam and acts accordingly in order to attain Allah's pleasure, and this is the most important thing in their life.